Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen Marie and I teach you makeup the easy way, girl. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to master concealer application. So I'm going to be sharing with you some makeup tips and tricks to get a flawless concealer application and just get an overall flawless looking under eye. So if you are new to my channel, hey girl, hey, my name is Kristen Marie. Welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, hey girl, welcome back to your girl's channel. When it comes to concealer application, if you're missing a few steps, girl, your concealer is not gonna look flawless, it's not gonna be well put together, and it's gonna crease throughout the day. So I'm gonna share with you some makeup tips that help me master a flawless under eye. Okay, so first things first, you want to make sure that you are using some type of eye cream to hydrate the under eye. The under eye is a very delicate area, so you're just going in with concealer and everything else and powder to place underneath the eye without prepping the under eye beforehand. Girl, you're setting yourself up for your under eye to crease. It's gonna look dry and cakey. You wanna make sure that you are applying some type of eye cream, whether it's the hydrating eye cream or a treatment eye cream. I would say more of a hydrating eye cream. I would place underneath my eyes, and that's why I use the Kiehl's avocado eye cream. It's really hydrating. It's so good. Oh my gosh, it's like one of my favorite eye creams. I've been using it for so long. So yes, use a hydrating eye cream. Let the eye cream sit at least 2 to 3 minutes before you move into the next step. So for the next step, this is very crucial. It's so important, especially if you have dark circles underneath the eyes. You always want to color correct. The reason being is that if you are new to makeup and you don't know your concealer shade, you don't know how to apply it, you don't know how to blend, you don't know how to set it, then you're going to run into your under eye looking dark gray, especially when you set it with powder, and that we do not want. So if you go in with a color corrector, which I highly recommend if you are beginner makeup, or I like to use this E.L.F. eye brightener. It literally just brightens up the dark circle before you apply your concealer. So that way, if you are using the wrong shade, because it happens, we can have the wrong concealer shade, then you can apply it and it'll still keep that darkness covered without it being gray or looking ashy when you go to blend out and to set. I'm going to be using the eye brightener today, and I want to show you how easy it is for you to apply this. All you need is a small amount, and how nicely this will like literally brighten up the dark circle underneath the eye. And as you can see, the darkness underneath my eye is now brightened and it's ready for my concealer. Okay, so once you have your eye brightener or your color corrector on, now we're going to move into concealer. What type of concealer you use is totally up to you. I have my concealer favorites, and if you guys want to see a video of my top concealers that I love, that's great for dark circles, that just makes my under eyes look so super flattering and flawless every single time I use it, drop a comment down below. But for me, I have been loving this TooFaced Born This Way concealer. I have been using it every day. I am almost out. I like to use more of a fuller coverage concealer. You don't have to. You can use more of a medium concealer. I like to place my concealer away from the under eye. Because I do have those fine lines, I don't want to directly place a ton of concealer underneath the eyes like so, and then the concealer folds into the actual creases, and then I'm just looking like cakey bakey all day. Okay, no, we're not doing that. And another thing that I like to do is I like to let my concealer sit for at least 30 to 60 seconds before I blend out. The reason being is that once that concealer sits, and when you go to blend out, girl, it literally just sticks to the under eye. I don't know what type of stuff is in it or why it does that, but it literally just kind of dries down some, and it sticks, you know, underneath that under eye, so that way it's not moving or shifting when you go to set it with the powder. And I also want to say, if you don't have dark circles underneath your eyes, you don't really need a lot of concealer. You really don't. I feel like the less concealer, the best your under eye will look, because once you start packing on a ton of concealer underneath your eyes, it's going to make your under eyes look super, you know, heavy and cakey, and it's just too much at times. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and blend out my concealer. And how I like to blend out my concealer is I like to tap to blend out the concealer and then work my way underneath the eye. I like to use a concealer brush over a beauty blender, only because I feel like the beauty blender just takes away a lot of the concealer or the product, versus versus a concealer brush where the product is just staying on top, you know, it's staying underneath the eyes. You're not really wasting a lot of the concealer. You're not like, you know, getting rid of a lot of that concealer. And that's what I really, really like. Okay, so I mixed 2 of my powders. So what I did was I took a little bit of that cinnamon bun shade and I mixed it in with the Kunafa sitting on top. A lot of people ask me, well, how do you know how much to put for each one? I just do half and half. Half Kunafa, half Cinnabon. And that's just the measurements for it, okay? We want an even balance, and I feel like that's the balance for it all. So I'm going to take my velour puff, and I like using my velour puffs to set my under eyes. You want to tap out any excess because we're going to set. We're not baking. We're going to set the under eye, and I feel like if you tap out any excess, it's going to avoid all that powder being underneath the eye and looking super cakey. Another thing that you want to do is that you want to make sure that you're going back in with your concealer brush and you're re-blending out that concealer before you set, because if you don't want to have under eye creasing, then you want to make sure that those creases and that concealer is well blended out before you set underneath the eyes. And when I'm setting, I'm pressing that powder underneath the eye directly first. And then I'm going to get a little bit more of that powder, again, tapping out any excess on the back of my hand, and I'm going to bring that down slightly. And if you wanted to go in and add a little bit more powder underneath the eyes, you can do so. Just make sure you're tapping out any excess on the back of your hand. I feel like when you're going in directly with a ton of powder like this and setting the under eye, that's when it becomes super cakey. And a lot of you will say, oh my gosh, this powder makes my under eyes look super cakey. But it's like, I'm thinking like, it's not really the powder that's making it look cakey. It's how you're applying it, your technique, and how much you're placing underneath the eye. If you don't want your under eye to look super cakey, don't put a ton of setting powder underneath your eye. I used to think that the Huda Beauty setting powders was super drying and super cakey, but honestly, it was my technique. I was going in directly with a ton of powder and setting my under eye, and you cannot do that. By tapping out any excess and just applying an even amount underneath the eye, it gives you a less cakey and a more flawless under eye. Do you guys see that? I have fine lines, but I love the Huda Beauty setting powders. They make my under eye look super like flawless and good and blurred out and smooth, and I love that. This is the final look, and that's how I've mastered a flawless under eye. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Was this tutorial easy for you to follow? Like, did it make sense? Like, I feel like this is how I do my under eye concealer, and I feel like for me it works. My under eye, it doesn't crease. It's very long lasting, and I just have a flawless under eye all freaking day. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you are new to this channel and you made it to the end of the video, make sure you are notified every time I upload new videos, girl, because you do not want to miss out on any of the tips that I bring. Make sure you check out this video right here because it's going to give you some amazing tips on how to do your makeup if you're a beginner in makeup.